Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing this fine morning, afternoon, good evening? Good to see ya. Let's see who's all here. Who's here? Ryan West. Opens the doors, gets up, makes sure the sidewalk is dusted off and there's no gum for anybody to step in. Thanks, Ryan. Joe, morning. Wayne, good morning. Jake. Blake, good to see ya. Morning, morning. Gabe, morning. I think it's just you guys today. That's it. Tad, good morning. Happy Father's Day to those that are fathers and those that have fathers. And, frankly, for those of us that have, not us, I should say, not me, but those that have had fathers that may not be with us today. So thanks for all the contributions of dads everywhere. Hope that you do whatever you want today if you're a father. And even if you're not a father, do whatever the hell you want. Cat dads count, Sean. Appreciate it, Ryan. Appreciate it. Yep, I'm a fur baby dad, I guess. But any thanks for joining. Lots of CJ, good to see ya. Any big plans for Father's Day? We'll just start off with that quick. Any big plans for Father's Day? Gifted sub by Ear Trumpet. This guy's, thank you very much. Out to Michael. Michael, you received the mighty gift. The gift that is, it's like Father's Day gift for Michael. Thanks. Thanks, Trumpet. Appreciate it. Steak. Playing Deadlands on Father's Day. Good to see ya. James. Living for crits. Laramie, morning. Whoops. Got a few people trickling in yet. Laramie, morning. Any big plans for Father's Day? CJ says grilling and chilling. Grilling and chilling for Father's Day. My wife and I shop at a huge retailer. I will not tell you who it is for fear of prosecution or not prosecution, persecution. Two different things. Similar like feelings. They delivered food, right? We get food like just groceries. And of course, 3 bags of that were delivered were not for us. Those 3 bags contained a dozen eggs, which I think is like hitting the jackpot nowadays, right? Are they still like $20 a dozen? I don't even know. Here in the U.S., a huge package must be like 3 pounds, maybe 2 pounds. I don't know. Weight for me is hard to figure out. I'm better with measuring than probably 2 pounds of chicken wings, and then like a couple stacks of steak. I don't remember what steaks. And we were like, and the people had driven off, right? The people that delivered them, and they drove off, and my wife called them and said, hey, and they never came back to get the food that got misdelivered. What they do is they go to the same retailer and pick up a couple orders, and then they deliver it while ours got mixed in together. So Sean has wings and steak. I think that's a sign from above. I don't know about you. Some mistakes were just made to happen. Now I know where my food goes when it gets left off at a tree somewhere. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Like, what's Sean talking about? Yeah, I don't know. Cognoscente. Good to see ya. Morning. Farty, good morning. Happy Father's Day, everybody. This is a very male-dominated stream. I don't think that is a big shock to anybody. It's unfortunate because, I think we could use a little more diversity than what all you jokers bring to the table. But nonetheless, it is what it is. So lots of fathers in the chat, lots of fathers that we have had. So happy Father's Day, just to reiterate. Ain't nothing but a chicken wing. Hobbs, good to see you. Tim. Phil, morning, hitting up Game Store. Either picking up Shadowdark. Oh, you don't have Shadowdark yet, Phil? Either picking up Shadowdark, Deathmatch Island. Ooh, or old AD&D modules, depending on what they have. Then lunch at Stormcrow. Hello, Stormcrow. It's my Lord of the Rings Grima worm tongue imitation. Sci-fi fantasy themed restaurant. Oh, that sounds fantastic. That's a great mistake. Jeff, good to see ya. Farty says we have a gaming convention in town this weekend, so we're all heading out on Sunday. That's cool. How many you get to the con, Farty? Do you know? It's like 1,000, 100, 2 million. Dorcas, what are you doing here? Woke up late. Whatever, dude. Making some coffee. Don't solve the OSR without me. Wow, no, how could I? What are you doing for Father's Day? Dad joke for Father's Day. There you go. I gotta go over to my dad's probably, see what he's up to. My dad's a pretty simple guy. Dad, what do you want to do? Oh, I don't know. I don't care. And just so you know, that's exactly how my dad sounds, because I am obviously, as he would say, a fruit of his loins. Don't get me started. Anybody else? I got a question. Sometimes Dad's Day is like, I'm sure you want to spend it with your kids. Unless your kids are monsters. In which case you probably want to slay them. That's a RPG joke, folks. Don't get bent out of shape. But is it a day to call your own shots? Is that the latitude that you have? Like, I picture Dad's Day as like, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. And I think there's probably some families that are like that. Like, your dad really likes to do X, so we're just going to allow him to do whatever the hell he wants. And then there's folks like my wife, for example, would say, well, we got to go to dinner. We have to do this thing. And it's like, well, I don't really want to. Well, I know, but it's Father's Day or whatever, right? It's your birthday. We have to do that. What do you want to do? And you say, well, I don't want to do anything. Well, no, but we have to do this. Family. Blake says Dad's Day equals I choose so we get pizza and watch a Batman movie, right? It's kind of, you get to choose everything, right? It's like you don't have to sacrifice today for your dad. I missed Mother's Day. I should have had a thing on Mother's Day, of course. Sorry, moms. Took my hooligans around town yesterday. Arcade, pinball, skeet ball, mini golf, air hockey. I have a deal with my wife that we don't need to do anything special for Father's Day so long as we could skip Mother's Day. It's all contractual negotiations, I think. The Walls family residence. Farty says, website says they're expecting 60,000. Oh, which one is that? Is that the Canadian Game Expo? 60K, that's good. This is my first year, so I'm not sure. I think they have 35,000 last year. Oh, that's a big con. Father's Day means Star Wars marathon. I love it. Ryan says, usually, yes, I wanted to just chill at home, but the in-laws called and want to take me out for lunch. All good. Yes, it's like your day, but is it really your day? I mean, is it really? It's kind of like our day, right? And I say our day as in everybody else that's attached to you. GameCon Canada. Well, that seems like a pretty original name. No mistaking what that is. Unless it's a grift. Skeet ball, way less common here. Oh, you don't know skeet ball, Blake. Jim, morning. Jim's second Father's Day, I think, right? Well, happy Father's Day, all you blokes out there. Third Father's Day. He's counting them, folks. He's counting them. Jeff, good to see you. Good morning. Jeff, you making the trek to GameCon Canada this weekend? You and the Rumble crew? No, we only go to American cons. No, that's not. Well, that's unfortunate. Well, whatever you're doing for this grand old Father's Day, I hope it treats you well. Only Wisconsin. Attaboy. Attaboy. He knows the deal. Jeff's coming to Gamehole Con and Gary Con. That's his 2 trips. Game Canada. Missed opportunity. Oh, is it? I don't know. What I always do for Father's Day, my family picks something to eat that I only know to make well, and I end up making it. See? Works out for everybody. Forge Midwest, that's right. Sorry, Tim. Tim, you guys need to do some marketing on that thing. We do market, Sean. That's true. I think Forge Midwest gets about, what, million people? Million people, Tim? It's very, very big. Big experience. Harrigan, ahoy. Signing on late. It's all right. We haven't started. We were waiting for Harrigan. Now that he's arrived, we could start. What do we want to talk about? Oh, RPG and Gen Exile. Everybody's kind of trickling in. A little slow today. A little slow. A little groggy for the Father's Day weekend. You know what? It's Father's Day. You know, I can get up late, right? How with y'all? Runeslinger, Anthony, good to see you. Coming to us in the future. Test Trek, good to see you. Now we're starting to pick up steam with everybody in there. Good to see everybody's familiar faces. Who knows who will pick up along the way. Hit thumbs up on the way in or the way out. Just don't do it twice. Had a lot of choring to do. Yeah, choring. All right, let's get into something, right? Let's get into the main topic. I struggled. I was, I want to usually lock this down by midweek. And I was like, I know people have suggested some. And I thought, well, what spurs good discussion? I got a few more maybe in the back pocket. I thought OSR. I don't know why. I think it's just something to talk about. Because sometimes it gets people's blood boiling or there's a debate around it. And I got to say that I probably haven't been as close to what would probably be defined as OSR any other time than, I'm much more closer to it now than I ever have been in, 20 years, probably, which means I'm old. That's not a flex, by the way. Just want to make clear. And so I figured, and sometimes it's like debate online on what it is or what it's about or how it's defined or, it can spur into like this weird kooky discussion that ends up being not so constructive. And I know there are fans in the chat of what it is. And some of us may be like, it's just not my jam. Right? It's all good. It's all fine. So I will just put this out. We'll start out with the discussion. We're not going to define it first. I'm interested to know if in your mind you are kind of a fan of what is OSR style play or a game or what have you. So I'm interested if you are playing OSR in a game, or if you have a specific OSR related game. We're not defining it. So I also want to put out there that if somebody puts something in the chat as a game that they are like, yes, I'm playing, this game and in the OSR, the point of this is not to pile on them and say, well, it's not OSR. Actually, that's not really OSR. Okay, so let's not debate that right now. Okay. Now, I will also probably look at some folks that are probably jokers and will post a game just to spur and poke, kind of poke some of those that would do that. So if you want to put 5e in there, go right ahead. Just consider the source when that happens, right? Just saying. Tim Jessen says the OSR, I never really got, quote unquote, got it. Air quotes, got it. Possibly because I'm old enough to have played old D&D a lot. Okay, yep. OSR, what is a good question? OSR has generations. Well, we'll get to that. We will get to it. Like, I like old things, Jim says. There we go. We're first qualifier, you have to like old things. What are you playing? What have you played, or what do you feel you enjoy? What game do you enjoy that may be OSR-ish? Sean, does that include new OSR? Sure. It's new OSR is also part of the deal too. Look at this. First gen, second gen, Trekkie's all into it on the deep end. Loved my time with OSC, DCC, and most recently Shadowdark. Personally, I feel like I'm moving on from it, but I treasured my time at those tables. We go through phases, right? Some of us more so than others. Whoops, sorry, things skipping around. Laramie says, yeah, CNC and DCC. Orcus Dorcas, sure, running Dolmenwood, playing in heavily modded Isle of Dread with OSC. Ryan West, WEG Star Wars OS equals OSR. All right. Jeff Walker, DCC was my first OSR game. Reminded me a lot of the feel of original D&D. Good. I like this. I like how Jeff framed that up. Like, it's my first one. It was DCC, and this is why. It reminded me of old D&D. Wayne says, I like many OSR games, but I like many games. Playing OSR now, which is Outcast Silver Raiders specifically, because he's in my group, our group. Running Rustwater, which is a product of his. Shadowdark, etc. Love Black Hack. BSH, Black Sword Hack. See, gotta get out my decoder ring, and Mothership, etc. Trumpet Play OSR are BRP or Unisystem OSR. They are old. I mean, I don't know. I think it's debatable. But, some will say, no way, man. No way. Runeslinger says, like with the definition of role-playing, there are vested interests in suggesting they don't understand what it is, which, as the ripples of that grow, lends credence to the notion it's unclear. Indeed. I've played some OSR, not for me, but that's cool. Plenty of games out there. There you go. I like Blake. Gabe, I like OSR because I love swords and wizardry. Jim says, most of my OSR table times has been with retro clones, especially Swords of Wizardry and OSC. Now I'm still doing that. Now I'm still doing those, but just OD&D white box. Anything newer is just whatever Harrigan made me buy. Yeah, he does that, right? I get it. Personally, Anthony continues, Runeslinger. Personally, I think there is some value in separating games that are actually old from those which are inspired by the old games. Fair. Ryan says, would Gamma Dark MCC count as OSR, or does it have to be a fantasy? Ooh, that is something to talk about, right? Is it just fantasy? Is OSR fantasy? Like, if you talk to one person, they will say yes. That's right. It's only fantasy. If you talk to other people, they'll say, no, it's not just fantasy. Traveler's OSR. Or, what else is there? Gamma, Dark, or Gamma World, right? Then for Crit says, yeah, that counts. See, just ask somebody, they'll tell you. And then, if I scroll down far enough, they'll tell you no. Test Trek says, I now consider the most useful definition of OSR to be a play style. I agree. Emergent story, often sandbox. Rules, not rulings. I consider Vaults of the Varn, the Electrum Archive, and the Bastion press games OSR. Hobbes doesn't understand the question, which probably helps you understand what is or was Hobbes and Friends podcast, which used to be formerly known as Hobbes and Friends of the OSR. So, yeah, there's no irony there. Enjoy lots of games that are all categorized as OSR. They all just feel about the same to me, like different campaigns of the same game. I don't like playing any OSR style games that only have humans as PC races and or don't allow clerics spells at first level or level 1. Interesting. That's okay. Personal choice. Play any games my table has fun playing. There you go. Kristen, good to see you. Hobbs says rulings, not rules. I think that's a big one. Jim says mixed bag, but mostly pretty good. He's talking to Harrigan. Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt the conversation. Test Trek says Warhammer's Fantasy Roleplay First Edition OSR. I love my pig fat orange mohawk naked dwarf. Well, don't we all? So I'm playing Outcast Silver Raiders. Harrigan's running it for us. Phil McClory, Wayne Peacock in the chat, and one other individual by the name of Kevin who doesn't look like he can make it today, and that's okay. Kind of ironic that it's called OSR, but it's also very, I would say, new SR. I should have probably made this topic OSR versus new SR. New NUSR, right? What is the difference between the two? We might touch on that a little bit, but it's so to the uninitiated, which I would think that today's therapy session, there's quite a few veteran gamers that have been doing this for a little while and probably tune into, YouTube streaming people that are around RPGs and watch and listen to podcasts and hang out on RPG related discords that talk about RPGs all the time. But to the uninitiated, old school Renaissance, old school revival has been around. And I think for most of us, we could all say it kind of came around with the advent of 3.0 and the mentality that, you don't need to play 3.0 or 5.0 D&D. They got these other games or older games or maybe some retro clones, which is a whole nother little area, right? Retro clones of the old games. Swords and Wizardry is one of them. Labyrinth Lord is probably another. And so, hey, you don't have to play these quote-unquote new games. You can play these old games. And with these new games, there's maybe a different style or approach, right? There's some levers that are pushed and pulled that probably make these a little bit different. Because at the same time, it's a role-playing game, right? There's a game master. There's players. There's characters. Characters have some stats and abilities. And then it kind of starts to whoop. And even when it does that, it depends on how far down the path it starts to diverge, right? Because you could sit down and talk about a scenario or an adventure or a module. And when you're starting the game, whether it be a session 0, because, nobody does session 0s. They don't believe in it. Even if they're talking about what they're going to play, where they're going to play, what game they're going to play, they don't do session 0. Okay, just want to make sure that everybody's clear on that. But so you could start out as, well, this is the scenario, this is the adventure, and it goes until character death. And then it's well, if we were playing this in the spirit of the OSR, then character death, they say, it's part part of the thing about OSR style play is, player character death, high fatality rates. And then if it's the other way, maybe not. But then you could say, well, that's just how I run 5e. It's got high lethality rates, but then there's the death save. So somebody would say, well, it can, Sean, but with 5e you have death saving throws where, if I'm playing BX, man, they hit 0, they're dead, they're done, right? No chance. So it all depends. But I think, rulings over rules is a huge one. As we got deeper into, when 3.0 came around, and it was a pretty big shift, even maybe with second edition AD&D, that one kind of falls into this weird gray area. Is it really OSR? I don't know. The rulings over rules component is a big one. It's adjudication at its finest as a game master. So, you have to kind of understand what that means, where it's like there's a situation and maybe the rule isn't defined, or if it is, maybe it's not wholly applicable, right? It doesn't meet all the criteria of the current situation. So the game master makes a ruling on the spot. This is the deal. And some of us have taken that to a whole nother level where we've got house rules, right? Because I don't know, I was playing AD&D. We're not going to use speed factor when we talk about weapons. Speed factor, what's Sean talking about? Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Seth. Jim says the implied settings are usually more interesting than the new mechanics to me. Let's see. Blake says, like OSR, hit thumbs up, and dislike OSR, hit thumbs up anyway. Hey, Blake's my buddy. Thanks, Blake, for looking out for me. Kristen says currently running a mouse reader, which people are saying is new SR, right? I would agree. And the new SR piece is kind of the new, I don't know, I guess it's new school revival, right? New SR is some of the games that are out in the last 10, 15 years that are, I would say, very much inspired by some of the elements that make up what is the OSR. But it's got a little bit better. It's got different mechanics or updated mechanics that are kind of evolved over time, right? It's gotten away from the Gygaxian things like, I don't know, Thaco. Yeah, I said it, Jim. I said it. Jeff says, Weird Heroes of Public Access arrived in the mail this week. Get Haunted Industries. I would call it OSR, NSR for sure. Some OSR themes, not requirements. Rules light. Lethality and high stakes. Yeah, I would say that for sure. Grits setting. Yeah. Player skill versus what characters have on their sheets is what kind of Wayne is getting to. Like quick charge in, character gen, grim art, rulings over rules. I don't know about the grim art part. Not sold on the grim. There is a grim element to some of these for sure. I'm not wholly sold on that making my list of things. And the reason I say that is because if you look at BX, it's not grim art. Very watercolory, right? It's what's his name? Shoot, forgot his name. Harrigan's still a little bit behind. I've lived and breathed non-retro clone OSR for years. Gritty, not grits, but I love grits. That's a whole nother topic. Wayne, I have complaints about grits. Because you can't just eat one grit. Hobbs says, I would say that originally OSR was trying to capture early TSR when 3E came out. I think that would be fairly in the ballpark. Ascending or descending ACE, says Ryan West, that's the difference between old and new? Well, I inserted the question mark. Sorry. Does 25 years of gaming make a veteran? I'm only 41. Well, it's relative. Trekkie, like you're like flicking my ear when I talk about age in gaming. If I've brought it up on the stream before, right? Like, well, I've been in this hobby for like 50 years. I got dice older than you, youngster. Well, that tells me you're old. Somehow we equate that with like a good gamer. Like, I'm great at gaming. I'm great at RPGs. I'm great. I'm number one. I'm the best player, best GM. Because, because I've got 40 years of gaming here. It's then the 3-year GM is no good. I don't know about that. None of the old games were in print. And there weren't scans or PDFs. Says Hobbs as he continues. I'm not the youngest one here. Cognizant. I've already played so many games and versions over the last 45 years. I enjoy playing new stuff, although anyone up for some Star Frontiers? People want to know. Star Frontiers, who's up for it? Hobbs says, so a couple dudes wrote a game with their vision of AD&D rules to see if they could get sued by WotC or not. So you're talking to Osric? Are you referring to Osric? Is that the one, Hobbs? Matt Finch, and I can't remember the other person's name, which has now been like the 3rd edition of Osric. So just wrapped up Kickstarter, crowdfunding. Living for Crits Descending AC is a lot like rolling down a window by hand. It's something I finally remember from my youth that in 2025 I don't ever want to do again. You and me both. Shh, don't say anything to Jim. Jim loves ascending armor class or descending. I get them mixed up. I know one's up and one's down, but it's so confusing that I don't know which one's which. Matt, good morning. Good to see you. Aaron says, sometimes I feel like OSR, good to see you, by the way. OSR is more of a community club of players, and they use the label as a thieves' cant means of telling each other what they wrote or like. Not always, but sometimes. I want to also say, good point, Aaron, and this kind of triggers the next thing. Can we make it, can we establish that it is not a political movement? Okay? But Sean, I don't know, man. Some of those OSR guys are real dicks. Like, they're really, like, they fall into this camp typically. Maybe. But that's not indicative of OSR. Like, separation of church and state on that one, I will say. That's a whole nother ball of wax. Originally, OSR, D&D retroclone, then a defined playstyle and creation, then old games rehashed, then a very tired argument, then Coke on the West Coast, Pop the Midwest, Soda on the East Coast. Agreed. Orcus, that's why I need you here, man, every weekend, dude. Mouse Ritter existed before the NSR term. Oh, interesting. Did not know that. Well, and I think what happens is some of these games evolve when it's not like it's this new game. Well, where does it fall? We should call it new SR. Oh, the new SR term comes, 2 years after some of these games like Shadowdark, Mouse Ritter, Beyond the Wall-ish, one of those, Black Hack. OSR does have a lot of younger folks reading older rulebooks and guessing how people used to play them when they were new, and sometimes getting close, sometimes not. That's an interesting observation. Interesting insight. Going back to Hobbs says they didn't know if it was legal or not. That's the whole big effing deal. But yes, they used the OGL. Jim says, I know I don't play OD&D the way Gary's group did. And Thaco for life. All right, everybody. Let's, before we kind of wonder who Jim really is, some of us know him, and he's okay, all right? He's a Thaco guy. And as a welcoming group, I would like to think that we will take individuals with different opinions, even though we will strongly wonder why they have them. Okay, just saying. And Jim is always right, too. Just saying. So there's that. That's a bumper sticker for sure. Dude, Brian West, you could be like, gamer. I'm going to pull up the next. Oh, I got to pull up next to him. Gamer. Just pull up like your little, just point at your fluffy dice hanging from your rear view mirror, right? Your D20, your D12. And just point to the guy and go, hey, that go, dude. I get it. I would say Shadowdark is very clearly NSR. Agreed, taking mechanics similar to contemporary players, but overlying the principles of OSR. Yeah. So Daggerheart. So is Daggerheart OSR? Ooh, I don't know about that. Little different, I think, in my humble opinion. William, good to see you. I think with that question to Jeff pointing that out, I would say maybe not, only because if you look at it holistically, sometimes I think we can go, maybe, but then when you like paint the picture a little bit, like, well, what kind of mechanics does it use? What kind of influences has it had? Where does it come from? Right? Like somebody would say Critical Roles, because it comes from Darrington Press, it derives from Critical Role, no argument there. And the critical rollers, I think we need to call the people on Critical Role critical rollers. You're welcome. Trademark, hashtag. I think it's safe and they started out in Pathfinder, I think, kind of, right? I mean, as their stream, they may have started in older games, but really I think they started streaming Pathfinder 1st edition or even in 3.0, I don't know. But then I know there's Pathfinder in there, and then they moved to 5e, and then just exploded. And I think it'd be safe to say that the Pathfinder 1st edition, 5th edition is really not OSR. Okay. And I think to be OSR, it's probably got to have more checkboxes than not. I think that goes back to my path, like where does it diverge, and when does it hit, like when does somebody go, yeah, I think that's OSR, maybe not that. So I think it's the amount of check boxes it probably has. And then you can kind of get a feel, maybe there's an aesthetic. And so with their longer campaigns, the episodes, the sessions, the 5e, many different kind of monster fight, PC combinations, having a 5th edition and then going to Daggerheart with cards and things of that nature, probably not so much. But then I also feign existence. I feign existence. I feign not being here. Ignorance, or due to my lack of reading Daggerheart, I wouldn't say it falls into that bucket. It's my long way of saying no. I still want to get DM Fiat plates for my Fiat. Yes. Because if you just put DM, would they put 2 and 2 together? Or would it even matter? I wouldn't call DCC Hyperborea OSE grim. Now the old school British games, there's the grim style of art. Right, and then you could look at Dolmenwood, which is from Gavin Norman, who did OSE. And there's elements of that. And that is, I don't think, grim at all, right? It's very, very fairy-based, right? If you open the books, it's a particular art style and things of that nature. Kristen says, if the players have Crown Royal bags for dice bags, it's OSR. Well, there you go. I mean, easy peasy. I will admit, I have never, ever had a Crown Royal dice bag. Ever. Just say, and there you go. I will surrender my gaming card to Kristen at the end of this episode. So many people say OSR is only fantasy games compatible with pre-3E. Yeah, and I don't know. I would say the majority grouping is that, but I don't know. Yeah, Sean, people could be horrible players for decades. Doesn't make them good. Exactly. Oh, okay. Controversial take. Oh, hold on to your seats. A lot of the oldest RPGs were sort of thrown together with minimal game design or play testing. I mean, hey, here's a Model T. It's a great car. It's the best car ever, right? Trying to emulate that style with rulings, not rules, can be misguided, in my opinion. I don't know if that's a real controversial take, but I love the disclaimer. If you have fun, you're doing it correctly. Oh, man, I got to do a video on that. As long as you're having fun, that's all that matters. No, it's not all that matters. Is it? So DCC is based on 3X, so not OSR? I think it would be... I think if you read the preamble in the DCC rulebook, they really try to get back to the 70s, 80s. But there are mechanics in there that are totally derived from the newer style. So I would almost put it as new SR, maybe. Any game is OSR if it can inspire an argument about whether or not it's OSR. Hey, it's just, you guys are shitting diamonds today. I can't even take it. I didn't play much in the 80s and only got back into gaming in 2020. OSR was a way for me to play some games that I missed out on. Yeah. There's a lot of other things in the world for me to be mad about than people being wrong about AC. There you go. That's why Jim is lovable, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to say that bestowing those words of wisdom. CJ says, I love playing in games run by newer GMs. It's nice to see how folks not playing for decades approach stuff, especially if they didn't learn in high Gygaxian and are running an OSR, NSR game. Yeah. Others would say Stuart Marshall and Matt Finch purpose was to recapture the feeling of old school, so all these other games fit. Stuart did the logo, didn't he? Wasn't he he's the Canadian that did the logo, right, Hobbs? The blue kind of staggered OSR isometric logo that he got perturbed about people using in bad faith. We need a new term, older SR. Oh my God. The people that didn't agree with TSR compatible felt they were being gate kept, so they started using NSR/Sword dream terms. I've seen far lefty OSR players and unapologetically polar opposite players. Yeah, well, yeah. Harrigan, I'm happy to call it OSR, all OSR, and then just further describe a bit from there. It's if that's necessary for the conversation at hand, which is not always the case. The author of Shadowdark does not call Shadowdark NSR. She calls it OSR. Oh, interesting. I mean, it's just how much wankery do we want to get into? I prefer to get in deep into the wankery pool. So more terminology, more buckets, more right or wrongs, I think, is just fair for conversation. So Kelsey, your game's NSR. I don't care if you call it OSR. Even if it's your own game. Just kidding, folks. Schnurk. I tell my group that Mouse Ritter is OSR because I don't want to get into what makes something NSR or OSR because their eyes glaze over. Yeah, well, there's that too. CJ says nothing wrong with liking Thaco. I also didn't wear a helmet as a kid. Jokes aside, there's worse ways to run combat. Yeah, there is. So if we want to talk Osric, let's talk its predecessor, Hackmaster. Hackmaster come out before AD&D? I don't remember it that way. Isn't Osric AD&D? I mean, Osric's AD&D is OSE is to BX, right? Am I wrong? Like missing something? I'm trying to decode Laramie. Decoder ring's broke. I put Shadowdark in the OSR personally. All right, well, there you go. There you go. Then it's done. I don't care what you call the category as long as Gnome is a playable race. Ooh, shots fired. You're striking deep, Matt. here, here we part ways. Matt, it has been nice knowing you. Thank you for joining us on these Saturdays. Hackmaster was in print during the old times and was a parody. I really wanted to make Hackmaster work, but couldn't sell my group on it. I don't care what you call the category as long as Gnome is a playable class, says Kristen. Hobbs has strong words for Matt Stark. So what are we talking about? We've mentioned some of the OSR components, right? Rulings over rules is always like the first one somebody spews out of their mouth. Spews forth out of their pie hole. Player skill over character sheet, right? Which is sometimes interesting, right? Like, oh, it's OSR, but then like Outcast Silver Raiders probably considers itself kind of an OSR, aside from the name, but it's got skills. So I do look at my character sheet. What do I need to roll? Oh, I got this. I'm good at it. I'll roll it. Anybody playing like BX where you don't make people roll? It's just all based on what they say, other than combat, right? Like, what are you trying to do? Tell me what you're trying to do. Explain what you're trying to do. Okay, well, this is, okay, how far away are they? 30 feet. Okay, what I want to try to do is this. So I'm going to walk around here, da-da-da. Can I do it? Then it's usually a time thing. Like, how long is it going to take you? Can I get there and around? No, you could do this. You could probably get halfway there, and then the next section you'll be there. Like, at the top of the next round or on your turn, next round, you'll be there. Okay, sounds good. Wait. Okay, now it's my turn. Okay, like I said, I was going to do this. Unless something changed. Okay, I'm going to do this. All right, it happens. It happens. It happens. Or you do that and this happens. Oh, shoot. Okay. Now what do you want to do? All right. Lots of dark content accompanying the whimsy and stuff like Dahlman would. Yeah, I don't want also to be clear with Harrigan's point. Like, it's not rainbows and unicorn farts in Dahlmanwood necessarily. I've also never had a Crown Royal dice bag. Jim, hop in, buddy. My original dice bag was indeed Crown Royal. Flex. We can't get Crown Royal bag in Australia, so we use kangaroo scrotums instead. I kind of figured. I mean, and you probably get them yourself. All right, you kindy. Get your ass over here. Daddy needs a new dice bag. Sorry. Love you guys. I imitate because I love, right? I had a Crown dice bag, Crown Royal dice bag. Someone gave it to me. There you go. When I was 13, I drank a bottle of Crown Royal so I could have the dice bag. That dice bag was earned that day, I tell you. Kenge. Is defining OSR the topic, or is it something about the OSR? Yes. Some of the other things I didn't get into, exploration over storytelling. So there's emergent story, which I think is also kind of like something I've kind of grasped onto recently with my, hey, checking out these kind of different games, right? From moving on from 5e personally. Because there's always like this emphasis on a story. What story are you trying to tell? What story are we trying to tell at this table? I don't know. Let's just have it happen organically, right? Game masters may be like, well, I'm running a published adventure, so this is the story. Well, maybe. I mean, maybe. Is it the journey? Like, have it come out, right? Do we need to know what the character had done for the last 10 years? Maybe a sentence or two, maybe background, maybe, I don't know. Is it relevant? Some people will say Tracy Hickman ruined it all with Dragonlance, this big epic and campaigns, and they all have to tie each other and they have to be, one after the other. It's producing a 7-season TV show. And let's play Twilight Zone. Stupid camera just got into autofocus mode. Thank you for watching my hand gestures. Let me ask you one thing. What OSR rule or principle do you love or hate? Yes, hate and give in to it. Yes. I keep my Urban Shadow Dice in Crown Royal bag, says Tim. There you go. I'm seeing OSR. What is it? Well, I had to put something on the banner, but I couldn't put everything on there. Oh, yeah, on the banner. Leaves. But Sean started in with, I don't want us to try to define OSR getting mixed signals today. Well, I mean, are we only doing one thing here? It's like we're talking about whatever it is and what games are falling into it, what principles does it fall to it, right? Mixed signals it is. If you are getting mixed signals, you are in the right chat room. What's the one thing, the OSR rule or principle that you love or hate? What do you love about the OSR? What do you not like about what would be considered OSR in your humble opinion? If you define it like, this is OSR, I don't like this piece about it. Why is it so hard to define OSR? Is there really anything there to define? Well, that's exactly it too. And we should also say, people will say it's a group, a club. I think it's my humble opinion, I think it's a style of play. Like I said, there are things. When you play 5th edition and you play something like BX, how do you determine why one is OSR and one is not? And based on those things, and it could be more than one, that makes it all up. And then based on that, what do you like, what don't you like? Let me be clear, I don't die on this hill almost 10 years ago. I don't care much these days, honestly. Yeah. Gabe says, but he said, do you like the OSR and why? Do you play OSR games? Yes. Gabe, give him the play-by-play. Catch up. Thanks, Gabe. Oh, that's a different Stuart. That tells you how far back I am on the chat. Thanks, Hobbs. Shambot says, OSR is a style play, but it depends. Gabe says, Shambot has it. Aaron says, maybe OSR is just permitting TPKs a la social contract, but also maybe the real OSR is the friends we make along the way. I think my job is done here today. Thank you. Aaron's job is done here today. I will say that. Off to class. See ya. James, don't kill anybody. Throw them, but don't kill them. Happy Father's Day to you. Michael says, I vote we just call OSR Gray Hack from now on. Old school house rules getting published for folks who like the old ways of many games. Harrigan says, okay, I'm coming back. Thanks, Harrigan. Next, talk about what counts as good country music. Oh, boy. No. I can't country music. But Johnny Cash. Oh, well. Osric was a reprint of AD&D, but before that reprint was Hackmaster. Well, then, I mean, come on, man. Hackmaster 2001 AD&D 2E 89. Yeah. Osric 2006. OSR is ill-defined these days and also very, very well-defined. So much ink spilled, so many words spoken. Cannot bear to start at the bare metal and build up in every conversation these days, Harrigan says. Harrigan, I expect a blog entry on this. Long, drawn out, opinionated OSR blog article. Remember, I was telling both. Had a guy who wanted 2 of every Hackmaster product, 1 to play and 1 to store for later. All right, Hackmaster. I got into Hackmaster sidetrack. I like the exploration aspect a lot. Thanks, Jim, for playing along. Appreciate it. 100 points to Jim. I like the exploration aspect a lot. Treating the dungeon as a puzzle to figure out, not just a box full of monsters to beat up and steal from. This is why I like Jim. Who doesn't like Jim? Fill in the map. Chris says, what part of OSR you love? Rulings over rules is the most important thing to me, says Kristen. Tim says, Sean, D&D was trying to emulate Lord of the Rings and other movies or other novels and Appendix N. Tracy Hickman was generations later. Yeah. True. My phone died, but to answer Sean's previous question, yes, I have encouraged the players to provide description solutions rather than roll for everything. Roll when it matters. Indeed. I love backloaded character gen. The arrogance is the incredible creativity. Here we go. Now we got the ball rolling. This is awesome now. The incredible creativity in the very varied community. The adventures, ruling over rules, the art, the vibes. The vibe, man. It's all about the vibe, dude. It's scaring up to be a Californian. It's about the vibe, dude. Tad, I appreciate how XP for treasure produces different gameplay than XP for killing monsters and encourages exploration and problem solving rather than just combat after combat. Hobbs need a little understanding on backloaded. Gabe says, I love everything about the OSR, but if there is one thing I hate, it is being a player in a game where the GM plays entirely by the rules. That's missing the fun for me. Got to play an OSR game without any rules. Jeff says, Sean's right. Heyo. Bonus to Jeff for hitting the phrase of the day. Congratulations, Jeff. OSR is a style of play, but that makes it hard to define. Agreed. Like right now, my buddy Joe is playing where he's running Castles and Crusades. And I have to say it's like playing Pathfinder for whatever reason. And that's just, it may be a me thing. I don't know. And I think it's derived because I don't remember the last time Joe ever ran an old school game. Ever. Like since childhood. He wasn't a big DM. He did a little bit. He probably DM'd more when we were kids than he has in the last 15 years, although I think he ran a scenario I wasn't a part of or a campaign arc. And some of the approach to some of those things is just, well, Castles and Crusades OSR, Sean. So how can he be running it non-OSR? I was like, wow, I have no fear of losing my PC's life. You know, it's not, there's still a lot of checks. Give me a roll, give me a roll, give me a roll, give me a roll. Description of action versus all actions must be rolled is a definite line in conception of and design for games. I guarantee if I played in Laramie's game and I played in Joe's game, it'd probably be a different experience. It's not a knock on my buddy Joe. Love you, Joe. I don't know if he ever watches this. But I swerve in and out with dungeon time keeping rules. Some things just don't warrant a passage of 10 minutes a turn. 3 to 6 down the line, and the character is defined and played by their actions, not during character generation. That's what he's talking about, backloaded. Hill I'll Die on Johnny Cash's Punk. Whoa, strong words. I use a mix of XP awards, treasure found, monsters overcome, places explored, goals achieved, ideally ones that players set, not me, doing something that amuses me. Wayne says, I would not classify Hackmaster as OSR. I don't really classify 2E as OSR, but won't die on that hill. There you go. Because CNC is derived from 3E, perhaps? I would probably agree with that, Gabe. I don't know if it's not derived from 3, because I think Castles and Crusades was out before 3E, but I think it's, or maybe not. I don't know. Timing-wise, I'm not sure. But supposedly, I don't know where I found it, heard it. Maybe it was written on a, bathroom stall door or something. That CNC was supposed to be 3E if Gygax did 3E, right? After second edition, the next iteration would be Castles and Crusades, which would also say, well, if it's 2E or later, then it's not OSE anyway, right? You don't have to run real older games to run a great OSR game, obviously, right? It's not a knock on Joe's game. It's a knock on Laramie's game. Oh, no, it's not. CJ, any game that slavishly sticks to the rules in the book feels restrictive. Not everything needs a role or rule to spell out. And I think that comes from the old, like, butting heads. Oh, the GM's just pulling this out of his butt. Gabe, where's the rule? Well, I'm making a ruling. But you know, it's not, like, where? Why, like, well, I'm going to house rule it. Oh, so it's not in the book. Well, it touches on it, but it doesn't flesh it out for this particular scenario. So I'm going to house rule it. I'm going to make a ruling, and then we'll just use that moving forward. Oh, I see. So it's just whatever you come up with. Hence 350-page rulebooks. GMs have this. Players have this. They can all derive it out of this tome. This tome states how everything is handled in the game. OSR is where the creativity has been for the past decade or so, much like PBTA space before it. Indeed. Runeslinger, what I have appreciated about the OSR, which I see as a culture of play, is that when it is necessary to communicate the OS perspective and procedures of play, it is often done with joy in play. Yeah. Nah, this is Gary's 3E is marketing. C&C was an OGL 3rd edition rule set. Okay, well, thank you for clarifying that, Laramie. Appreciate it. I hate arguing about the rules of how we play make-believe. Well, it is. I sometimes like struggle with this as well, CJ. You're not alone in this. Maybe like, man, right? The argument, man, can't we just play? Come on, man, can't we just play? Can't we just play a game? Come on. We gotta like, come on, man. But when you get to the table, everybody's got to be on the same page. And if you're playing BX, there's a different kind of, like, you killed my character. What WTF? Rocks fall, character dies? Come on. Hey, you went in there. I gave you warnings. It's dangerous. You could see rumblings of rocks on the floor. You look above. It looks like the wall of the cave is like very not safe. You went in there. Kicked the wall. They came down. You took damage. You died. Sorry. I don't know. Gotta get like 350-page rulebook is fine. It's all you need to play. If it's all you need to play. Yeah. OSR play only works if you just if you trust the GM instead of putting all your trust in the rulebook. I can't. Thank you for coming today, folks. I really appreciate it. We'll leave off with that. Dude, so much trust, man. I think where the broken trust has come leads to, well, we have to define everything then. Because then it's in the Bible, the rule book. That is it. No deviation. I will argue on this hill this rule. You are handling it incorrectly, Game Master. My character should get a save, and that save should be a 10 on a D20 roll. Jim also concedes. Nothing wrong with by-the-book rules, heavy play, if that's what you're into. Indeed. I seldom trust the GM unless the GM is me. Smiley face. The trust was broken because of a lot of bad GMing. Shit, yes. In fact, I generally mock GMs for bad rulings. I want Gabe at my table all the time. He's not that bad. Don't let him fool you, folks. He's not that bad. We're over. I'm going to wrap this sucker out. I had other questions, but I don't need to get into them. I think GMing was more of a problem pre-online gaming. You're not stuck with the crappy DMs from your high school in 2025. Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think there's tons of groups that are still like that. They get it. It may not be bad GMs, but that's what I think there's this weird dynamic. This is a whole nother topic, but it's a weird dynamic where it's like, I don't know, my friend group, I don't know, man. I'm just not into it. It's not my jam. My DM's being a dick. They don't want to DM anymore. They're tired of playing the same game. Like, group dynamics is always an issue with role-playing games. And to me, it's like, man, I cannot tell you how many groups I've ever been a part of. Many. But I also find myself like not the norm, right? So when I say, just find another group, people are like, what? Huh? I can't play with like complete randos, right? I can't post that in a like GameStar and like, what if the person shows up like naked to my door? Like it's so they never leave, and they put up with the shittiest game group forever. And by shittiest game group, I'm being more hyperbolic in that, but they don't want to leave. It's their friends. They fight that tooth and nail. They put up with a crappy game. And, and this is like, it starts out really fun and great, but as we grow, we have differences of opinions. We want to explore other things. Some people want to do it faster. Some want to do it, they're more flexible in doing that, and others aren't so much. And that's okay. But they just, like, the complaints about, like, my game group or the game we're playing sucks and this is why. And, there's going to be elements of that they're not going to change. They're not going to change. You're not going to treat, some old dogs aren't going to learn new tricks. And so you're holding on to it, hoping it's going to change tomorrow. And you probably won't want to say anything to anybody because then you're conflict adverse. And then it just runs into the snowball things. So yes, nowadays you could find different groups much easier than you ever have had to in the past. But just because it's easier to do, I don't know a lot of people are doing it. Some are, but not all. And I think that's where the rub is. Like, just find man, I cannot tell you how many people in the chat I've played games with. And they're all fantastic. Like, I think there's more really great players out there than there are really shitty players. I really believe that. I may be delusional and like, I don't know what it is. Maybe what kind of fantasy world are you living in, Sean? My own. But I do think, like, it's not, you got to kind of take a risk and put yourself out there. And the funny thing is, if you join a new game group, I've started a few or gotten them together. And one of the things I say, like, look, here's the deal. If I'll run, if after the first hour you're like, this is not my jam, it's okay. No love loss. You wanted something out of gaming other than something different than I do, or maybe some of the other players. Nothing wrong with that. But it goes both ways. Like, hey, you're kind of not fitting in this. I don't know if you can read the room, but you may be better served somewhere else. I don't know, right? Sean, I use that caveat in my con tables. Arrogance says standardize everything. There's different levels of engagement for mature, but if you like the hobby but don't like your group, it's an easier problem to solve now than ever before. Indeed. It's a social game, so sometimes you have to be social to find your people. Indeed. Arrogance is part of what I was getting at is that old D&D puts a lot of power in the hands of the GM, so when that person is a dick, which is partly why 3E evolved. Yeah. Yeah. Did I miss any good ones that I missed? Yeah. Tim says there are still a lot of people who game all the time who don't read about IRPGs online, don't go to game conventions, and aren't really aware of other games more than one step away from D&D. Yes. Right. Many. Probably more than like the groups we roll in, right? We are like a smaller subsection of a small subsection of culture. If they showed up naked, you might need to specify what you meant by role play. Well, there you go, right? Let's communicate that. All right. I know some of you are going to take off. I'm going to rip through some of these things. Thanks for chiming in, everybody. Appreciate it. As always, let's get into RPG news quick. This is interesting. I don't know, maybe kind of, sort of. I think it was brought up before. Wizards of the Coast Money recruited sci-fi authors for the Exodus TTRPG. So Exodus is a computer RPG from Wizards Coast Archetype Entertainment, and it'll feature Matthew McConaughey. Hey, all right. There's a tabletop RPG to accompany both computer game and novel series are set 40,000 years in the future when humanity has evolved into post-human forms in various directions. World co-created by James Olin, British sci-fi author Peter Hamilton. Olin is ex-BioWare and known for Dragon Age, Baldur's Gate, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. So there you go. Interesting. It's not 5e. So as a result, Exodus is the first non-5e TTRPG the Hasbro family of brands has signed off on since Essence 20. Does that include Star Wars? I don't know. Anyways, there you go. It is interesting. Right? Excuse me. Bundles. Got a couple bundles you guys are going to want to know about. First one, Fantasy Age 2E. Anybody play Fantasy Age 2E? Just out of curiosity. If you're interested, check out the bundle. Stunts. Remember original Dragon Age, which is what it's based off. It's like a 2D6, right? Thing. Spiel, shtick, whatever. And on the same page, just click on the one that is right here called Coriolis, Mercy of the Icons. Little Coriolis action. Boom, boom, bang, boom, bam. Get the core book. I don't know if I have all these. It's only look like 3. And I don't know if I have them all. I have to double check. But if you're interested in Coriolis, Free League, Year Zero Engine, I'm playing in one game right now. It's cool. It's pretty cool. Got a lot of lore. Whoa. A lot of lore. Let's get into print news. Print news, yeah. Yeah. This week, an improved deck of many things. What else here? Just the End World. Fablemaker's Deck of Many Things. Hit Point Press. It's out now in print. You can grab it. $25 or $50, depending on which one you get. Next one, Fungi of the Far Realms. Get it at Sutler's Eye of the Aeons, Troika, Quick Start Rules by Malsonian Arts Council. Troika all day there. Next one, Break Core Rules Special Edition. That I know is featured in a crowdfunding campaign, and now I think you can buy it as the masses. Missed the crowdfunding campaign, now you can get it right off the shelf. Next one, In Memoriam by Renegade Game Studios, Vampire the Masquerade 5th Edition system. Play really old vampires. Interesting. Aren't vampires all supposed to be old? I don't know. Okay, there you go. Wanted Hexed or Alive. Hey. I see what you did there, Monty. Monty Cook Cypher System, High Noon at Midnight. Softcover Zine. Monty Cook Games getting into the zine world. And then Dice, Metal, 10mm to 12mm by Easy Roller Dice. System, any RPG that uses dice. Finally, a dice set that's just not for 5e. Oh, man. See you, Jeff. Next, crowdfunding. Whip it through this stuff like it's freaking hot knife through butter. Dice for any system. Genius. Why isn't that popping up? There we go. Why not? I gotta fix that. Crowdfunding Arcane and Book of Magic for Free League's Dragonbane is in the end throws. So all the Dragonbane folks are on that. 5 million kroner? Whoa. What is that in the US? It's a lot, right? Like a gazillion dollars, I think. Everybody get in on that? All you Dragonbane fans. One of the Free League press games I do not own. Come at me. Come at me, bro. Tales of the Valiant Player's Guide 2. Oh, boy. System, D&D 5e, and Tales of the Valiant. 205 grand. Funded. Suckers. Next one, City of the Black Rose. 5e Daggerheart horror setting from Roll and Play Press. For 5th edition and Daggerheart. Gotta split it there. Horror Noir campaign setting for fantasy RPGs. Serenissima Obscura, City of Shadow and Light. 5e and Ars Magica, or Magica. Setting guide and modular adventure. There you go. Next one, Echoes of the Veil, cinematic cyberpunk RPG hack of CBR plus punk. Core rulebook. Interesting. CBR plus punk is one of my... Is it CBR? Is it Cyber plus punk? I don't know. It's one of my favorite TTRPGs because it's distilled Forged in the Dark rules and a cyberpunk setting into a minimalist pamphlet-based game. Format is the driver behind cyberpunk, having a streamlined structure that puts the rules and concept into a few one-page documents character sheets. So in contrast, Echoes of the Veil expands the game into a 100-page book. Looks like a bigger than 100 pages, but whatever. It's not funded yet. Next one, designed for Shadowdark. Anything silver and black is Shadowdark now, just so you know. The Devoured Labyrinth for the Shadowdark RPG. It's adventures, $60, the most popular pledge, $32K. Watch these Shadowdark crowdfundings start to rise. I heard Analytic Dice is going to feature Shadowdark on one of their upcoming episodes. Do you need over 40 one-page and two-page dungeons and encounters? This book starts with 0-level gauntlet and options to string these adventures together into a 10-level adventure. There's a deck of tarot-sized cards with ancestry and class information to help create new characters and NPCs. If you're interested, check it out. There you go. There you go. Boom, bam, bang. That's it. That's all I got. That's all I got, folks. That is not what I wanted to do. This is what I wanted to do. Thank everybody here for patrons, YouTube supporters. Thank you very much. I appreciate every donation each month. Thank you. Also want to thank you for being here this Saturday, this fine Saturday. I hope you have a great Father's Day. Whether you're a father or not, if you have a father, great. Have fun, enjoy it. Play some role-playing games, if you will. And remember, be a positive force in the tabletop RPG hobby. Check out one of this video over here, over there, over here. One of my latest. One coming out this Thursday. And yeah, that's all I have for you. I stream every Saturday here, 8 a.m. Central Time. Not sure what we're going to do next week. Maybe alignment. We'll talk about alignment. Let's talk about alignment. I think that'll be a good one. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day, weekend, night, evening, morning, afternoon, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.